I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we are talking with author Peter C. Hare discussing his book, A Very Strange Party on Bangy-Bong. He co-wrote it with his wife, Ashlyn Moss. It is a wacky and entertaining tale that introduces readers to Pegerty, Gwindleberry, and WartyConk, the kind-hearted beings from a tiny little planet called, you guessed it, Bangy-Bong. We're delighted to have Peter join us today on Spotlight. Thank the folks at Prime 7 Media for helping us put him in the spotlight today, and ask viewers like you to support writers like him by subscribing to our channel. I love your book, Peter. It is quite an adventure you have laid out there.
Yes, thank you, Logan. Yes, it was really fun to make the book. It was quite an inspiration going back a few years ago now that I was doing some grocery shopping in a grocery store, and I came across a strange little being who was like a little rag doll, and she made me laugh as soon as I saw this little rag doll, and I knew that Ashlyn had to have it. So I bought it, much to the dismay of the lorry driver who was queuing behind me. You appeared to be a little bit disgusted. So I thought, well, this is obviously the right thing to do. So I bought Ashlyn this little rag doll, and she became Pegerty. And Pegerty had stories just emanating out of her, along with another Witchley, which I also managed to buy at Sequest for Ashlyn there. And gradually, bit by bit, these stories came about out of the fact that back in the day, our parents were a little bit taboo about breaking wind. And so these beings, they invented basically a whole system of breaking wind called parpsies and parpsy collection, whereby they would suck the parpsies out of the atmosphere into rubber tube-like horns and then power their broomsticks with the gas so that they would contain and it would be mounted like jetpacks to their broomsticks as they fly through space, as you do. So it all kind of developed from there, really. And we thought, well, as they like smell so much, that we would have all of their stories and their cauldrons filled with nice, smelly ingredients. But they don't harm anything. They don't harm anything. In fact, they're friends with slugs and beetles and insects and things like this. It's pretty much like everything is there for them. And they live on a tiny planet called Bangy-Bong. That's in the middle of nowhere, and it's almost invisible to the naked eye. But they do come down to visit us on Earth from time to time, and to collect our parpsies.
Amazing. What a tale. What a tale. Now, is there some kind of secret message in there that you're trying to convey to tell us more about our own world? Are there a lot of gaseous people out there who are fun-loving people nonetheless?
Yeah, I guess fun-loving would be the thing about that. It's kind of tongue-in-cheek in a way that it gets to the point of almost being ridiculously opposite of what's really seen as an acceptable norm thing. That they occupy rooms whereby the paint's peeling, and the paint has got to peel into their cauldrons to make sort of like a nice breakfast. And it, a lot of this was a bit spontaneous, but the more I thought about it, the more we could push the boat out on what would be acceptably disgusting.
Exactly. Exactly.
So that's the message, I guess, really. It's not to take life too seriously.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
What's the reaction to your book to those you've read it to?
they absolutely love it. They
Yeah.
absolutely love it. I mean, well, mostly Ashlyn informed our colleagues at work about the book, and in this newish place of work, it seems to have taken off. That in the first few weeks of our work in there, that she's had many fans already buy the book and for themselves and for their families, so they can read it out to their grandchildren and their children because it's all an excuse that they actually like the book. And Ashlyn's artwork is absolutely astounding, and she's very painstaking. The amount of labor that she puts in, it's almost like pointillism on very fine paintbrushes, and she'll languish over the tone and the shadow of the colors and how authentic they look. And so it just really does it complete justice for me to at least attempt to conceive stories behind the characters, because really it was Ashlyn's concept in the first place that she had backstories from all of these characters. So I kind of elaborated on their antics and joined the dots and connected that all up together.
Absolutely. The illustrations really, of course, bring it to life. Did you have a great time collaborating with your wife? Sometimes it's not easy to work with the wife, but it sounds like you guys had fun.
Yeah, it was a double process. It was a double whammy in a way that I would have to serve her up with lots of tea and snacks and treats while she had to leave her to get on to doing the painting, whilst I would disappear off into another room to work upon the story, and because we'd have to connect together. But writing the story was really probably a lot quicker. It was a lot more expedient for me to write a story than it was for her to paint all this elaborate artwork. So that gave me time to deepen the story, really, I think, and make more and more wacky ideas.
Absolutely. Well, they're wonderful, wacky ideas, tons of fun. Are you thinking about any more Bangy-Bong adventures?
Yes, yeah. I think we have a third book planned. Um, I don't know how much to say about that, but we have a title for that now, and we decided now as the wacky adventures are going from strength to strength, probably to push the boat a little bit further and widen the envelope a bit more. Because we read children's books in our own time, and we've seen that in many bookstores that a lot of the images are CGI generated and very flat and very two-dimensional. So Ashlyn's artwork is anything but. It's very far from that. And we look at the stories, and the stories seem a bit contrite and stereotypical. So we're trying to break the mold here. We're trying to make boldness and vivid and wacky and wonderful, because children live in the moment. They might plan an Easter or Christmas or a birthday, but they're running about like headless chickens until the time gets there, and then it's like they make everything up on the spot. So we wanted every page to be a story in itself, so it fits into the way that children think, and it would make people laugh.
Yeah, well, you've succeeded. Every page is a story. Every piece of illustration is an artwork, and it's a beautiful book. So I'm sure the kids are just delighted by it. I mean, because it's wonderfully silly that kids will probably just laugh until they cry when they read this, right?
Yes, yeah. With one colleague that we met, and she had a granddaughter with her, and she said, "Oh, hang on a minute, you've got to meet Peter C. Hare," and she proudly announced to me that the Witchley's book was her favourite book, and she literally has hundreds of children's books, and so that was a real compliment to hear that that was her favourite book. So that was heartening enough to say, I think we should carry on doing this.
Absolutely. So there's two books so far. There's A Very Strange Party on Bangy-Bong. What's the title of the other book?
The first book is called The Witchleys Come to Earth.
Gotcha. And that tells the whole story.
Yeah, it's kind of yeah, that's a wacky story as well. But due to technical issues, we took it out of print because we didn't realize at the time that artwork is very vivid on paper, but when it goes into print, it's as if the pages can't quite do the vividity, that kind of justice. Ashlyn and I are both perfectionists. We're just both ridiculous perfectionists. We have to have everything sparkling and with a great sheen to it. So we decided to let that one go by its course. And this second book was we was going to raise the bar. We were going to raise the bar on this book and make it even bigger and bolder. So probably again for the third book, that will probably raise up what's called the gamma control on that to bring out the colours, because it's the colours that really do the artwork justice, I think.
Well, you really have raised the bar with this book when it comes to outrageousness and fantasy and silliness. It's wonderful. And have you envisioned this as perhaps a cartoon or a series or a movie or something like that?
We were approached last week, and thankfully it seems to be mostly by companies in the US. And we were approached last week by somebody and a US media company who suggested what you're suggesting, that had we thought about making this into a film or a cartoon series, that is probably another ball game for us to consider. It's probably a way off with what we're capable of right now without any assistance ourselves. But yeah, that's something we had entertained the idea of, because we think that would work really well as a cartoon. I think
Yeah.
that would work really well.
I think kids would love it. They're so focused on videos nowadays between their phones and the computers and all that. I think they would absolutely love watching these characters brought to life. And I'm sure you guys would love watching these characters be brought to life as well.
Well, yes, I think Ashlyn some time ago said that if this was like a cartoon, we could have like a wacky or crazy signature tune in there, maybe consisting of kazoos being blown, distorted kazoos through like fuzz pedals.
Exactly. Kazoos are my favorite instrument. If there's a kazoo involved, I'm there. This is a great book, folks. It's called
Yeah.
A Very Strange Party on Bangy-Bong. It is written by Peter C. Moss and his wife, Ashlyn Moss, Peter C. Hare, rather, and his wife, Ashlyn Moss. We're delighted to have them here today on Spotlight. Thank you so much for joining us, Peter.
Thank you, Logan. Thank you for the time out to come and interview us here. It's been a pleasure.
Pleasure's been all mine. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time. This time, until next time on Spotlight. And don't forget to order your copy of A Very Strange Party on Bangy-Bong.